Mm, this coffee is good. I'll just start off and say that this coffee is good. But good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, so last night I had some time to reflect. And I'm still disappointed in Google. Like, really, I thought it was going to go away. I thought it was going to go away. I thought it was going to be okay. Well, this is understandable what they're doing with the Pixel 5a 5G. If you guys missed yesterday's breaking live stream that I did, check it out afterwards. But I was just like, okay, what is happening here? What's the deal? What's the deal with them using the Snapdragon 765G? So I'm just going to kind of talk more a little bit about it now that I had some time to reflect, and my feelings still are the same. I'm still disappointed in Google for that. I'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll kind of just dive into Mortal Kombat, because tomorrow is the day, and hopefully HBO Max does not crash on everybody, because there's probably going to be so many people watching Mortal Kombat, the movie. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be released in theaters, and I don't know how many people are actually going to go to the movie theaters to watch it, but I do know a lot of people are going to watch the movie in the comfort of their home. And I hope it doesn't give me any problems, because I want to be able to watch the movie like uninterrupted and just, just thoroughly enjoy it. So, okay, before I get into everything, again, big shout out to the channel members. Thank you guys for being members of the channel, taking the chance on this guy at this channel itself. I know it's not the highest quality stuff. It's not, the videos are, just what they are, shot with, any of my Pixel phones that I use to record videos and edit it and stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not a lot to it. So I have a lot of these banners that I just got to delete. I just noticed that right now. Like, okay, let's delete some of these banners. And yeah, so, oh man, as you're coming in, please hit that thumbs up button. That really helps out. Helps circulate these live streams. And yeah, say hi, and all that good stuff. Okay, so, well, let's switch it up right now, and let's just kind of talk about the disappointment in Google. But this stems a lot further than just what they've done with the Pixel 5a 5G, Pixel 5a, let's just call it that. All right, so it's no secret that Google is using the Snapdragon 765G in the Pixel 5a. Beyond 9 to 5 Google, who reported, or who I first saw reported on it, other publications are coming out and confirming that it's going to be the 765G that Google is using in the Pixel 5a. And until today, it still absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. The projected path of what the Pixel 5a's specifications are, and I'm going to switch it up to just kind of re-go over what we know so far. I think we all need to be aware of again. Let's see. We'll try to find the most recent one. So yeah, Phone Arena's got it incorrect. So let's pull up gsmarena.com. Wait, that's the Pixel 5. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I mean, tomsguide.com has something on it that I guess it was updated about 5 hours ago. So we'll just kind of go into that. And this looks like what they do is they just keep adding on to the original post. And I don't want to sign up for their email newsletter. But anyways, so yeah, different publications reporting on it that the Snapdragon 765G is going to be the processing chip that's in the Pixel 5a, which absolutely makes no sense, because last year they released a Pixel 4a 5G model that pretty much is the same specifications as the Pixel 5a. So what would absolutely be the reason to even upgrade to this? And this kind of falls into a pattern that Google has to be slightly a letdown. And that's something that I want to just kind of talk about, is just how they do this, how this comes to be, the actions of Google, and sometimes it's what they do that I think that's weird. I think it's weird for them to be doing stuff like this. And sometimes I wonder, do they even know what they're doing at times? Is there a specific reason why they go this route? do they think people won't know? So yeah, I don't want Tom's Guide sending me anything. Anyway, so this article is from Tom's Guide, and let me go ahead and just cite my source here ahead, so you guys can check it out for yourselves. So it's not, it's not caught off by surprise, but I just, I'll just share that right there. And all right, so let's just kind of dive into it here. So this is the website Tom's Guide, and they wrote an article piece that was updated. Oh, here's the update. So Pixel 5a news. So now they're updating it to confirm 765G chip, as it says right here. Pixel 5a news updated April 22nd. Code within Android 12 seems to point to the Pixel 5a using the Snapdragon 765G as its chipset. That's the same as the Pixel 5 and the Pixel 4a 5G, which could be a smart move or a terrible one. After leaker John Prosser claimed the 5a had been canceled, possibly because of chip shortages, Google says the phone is definitely not canceled. Google and T-Mobile announced a series of moves aimed at Android phones, including plans to have T-Mobile offer more Pixel phones in the future. We'd have to assume that includes the Pixel 5a. So that's something that they updated on the article. Let me see if I can find what they guesstimate the specifications will be. So they're talking about pricing and stuff like that, which will probably be the only good thing about it, is that if it's a sub $400 phone. But yeah, so it says over here, based on leaked Pixel 5a specs accompanying Hammerstoffer's render, it sounds like the new phone will have a lot more in common with the Pixel 4a 5G than the Pixel 4a. The Pixel 5a is expected to feature a 6.2-inch OLED display at full HD resolution. That's the same size as the screen on the 4a 5G. And an expected 6.1 by 2.9 by 0.3 inches. So that's the dimensions of the phone all around. The Pixel 5a would be the same size as the 4a 5G. So I mean, yeah, that's that's the obvious. Of course, obviously they're not switching up the camera sensors yet, because the camera sensor upgrades in pixels will actually come with the Pixel 6. So this one will still be using the Sony IMX363 camera sensor in the back, but more than likely we'll probably have the ultra wide, because it would be actually weird if they just made a clone of the 4a 5G minus the ultra wide sensor and stuck with a single sensor on the back. Then people, but I don't know if that would be, justifying it being at a lower price, even though it's pretty much spec'd almost identically to the Pixel 4a 5G. Those are some of the things that I think about when it comes to this, and the fact that they're saying that it could possibly be more helpful than terrible. I think what they're looking at it as is another Pixel 4a 5G minus a few small things, having the same processor chip as the 4a 5G, but maybe costing sub $400. Is it possible that Google can do this? And yes, it is very possible that they can do this. But again, there comes that whole thing of, well, if you want the ultra wide lens, then just go with the 4a 5G. So, I guess after thinking about it long and hard last night, not that it's going to be like a total bust when it hits the market. Like, no one's going to buy this thing. I mean, I doubt that. There are going to be people who's going to buy it. And if they do something to provide some sort of a smart shortcoming of the Pixel 4a 5G versus the Pixel 5a, then I can see, at some point it would have some ground to stand on. And one of the things that will come to mind is obviously not having dual sensors on the back. So maintaining what the Pixel 4a has with a single camera sensor, even though it has that very smaller square module on the back, but just having a single camera sensor on the back would make somewhat of a sense, especially if they're going to market this thing. Ouch, hurt my hand. If they're going to market this thing, to be sub $400, take away one of the camera sensors. And to me, that would make a little bit more sense for them to do it that way. So you're getting a newer phone, obviously. It's going to have a lot of specs close to the Pixel 5 and to the Pixel 4a 5G, but take a few things away that the 4a 5G has, have it at sub $400 price, and then you have a chance of making sales on it. Because the 5a series sales, that's what we know for sure. For sure, the 5a series sales. We know this, right? When the first A series device came out, the Pixel 3a, it sold. And then you have the 4A, which a lot of people were like, this is not going to sell because it doesn't have 5G capabilities. And the 4A ended up selling. And people, one of the testimonies from a lot of people who picked up the Pixel 4A had said that they're not concerned that it doesn't have 5G, even though we all knew that there will be a 4A 5G model down the road, after the release of the Pixel 4A. People were fine with the fact that it didn't have 5G. So that's totally fine. So with the 5A, the same size as the 4A 5G, nearly spec the same. Obviously using the Snapdragon 765G. Some people will look at that and say, hey, it better be under $400. It better be under $400, because if it's going to go for, $499, then that's going to be a big problem. Also, what we don't know is if this thing is going to be to have millimeter wave support. The 4A 5G that came out previously, and not the Verizon model, but the unlocked model, was only a sub-6 connection. Obviously, the Snapdragon 765G, it was tag teamed with the Snapdragon X52 modem, and no support for sub-6. Now, it doesn't mean that the X52 modem can't support millimeter wave connection, because the Pixel 5 has the Snapdragon X52 modem and it can connect to millimeter wave. And of course, the 765, the Snapdragon X52, I was going to say 765G, but the X52 modem that was also, in the 4A 5G, there was a Verizon model, and that one was able to actually connect to a millimeter wave. Good morning to you too, John. Good morning. So it's not to say that the X52 modem in the Pixel 5 4A 5G weren't able to access millimeter wave, but hopefully with the Pixel 5A, if it's using the Snapdragon X52 modem, have it millimeter wave compatible. Now, it'd be cool if it had the Snapdragon X55, there would be something to kind of champion there. Because again, on paper, when people see that nothing has changed on paper, they're going to automatically assume the experience is going to be blasé or just bland, right? And now that we know that the 765G chip is going to be in the Pixel 5A, and someone who knows their tech stuff is going to be like, well, the 4A 5G has that. This is very much a 4A 5G. So then what's going to happen after that? Do you prefer fingerprint sensor over in display? I've heard mixed reviews on the in display. I personally don't. It's cool if you have in display fingerprint sensor. It's cool to that extent. But I don't know. I guess I would prefer a physical biometric sensor, like on the back or on the bezel on the front of the phone. I don't really care for in display, and that's just because the most vulnerable part of a smartphone to me is the display. That's the one that people will crack their display and still use their phone. They'll put a case on it, and you really won't see it until you kind of look at their screen and you see like these spider cracks and stuff like that. So to me, I'm just like, it's the most sensitive part of the phone, the most vulnerable part of the phone, that tends to be the one that gets damaged the most. I just don't care for it to being in display. And then of course, repairing your display, if it has an in-display fingerprint sensor, like how much goes into that, how much problems can happen, because replacing displays is not as easy as 1, 2, 3. Like, the Pixel 3A that, my sister-in-law was using, that was mine. She damaged the display. And so January, we took it to a repair shop, and they repaired the phone. They put a new display on it. The sad part is that the display is no longer working. And I just haven't had time to go back and take it there and say, hey, something's up with this. You guys replaced the screen, and now the screen doesn't even want to show anything. Like, it just went out. So there's all those things. So just imagine just having, biometric reading into the display itself, just how much more things could go wrong, especially with repairs. I would just rather have a physical sensor on the back. Just leave them separate. You got to keep them separated type thing. Just leave them separated. That's the way I look at it. Fingerprints on the screen is not even going to be a problem, because you got to touch your screen anyway. So it's just, it's just like I said, there's all the things that can kind of go wrong with that. When you add on more, sometimes it's more detrimental than than positive. So yeah, and hopefully the Pixel 5a doesn't encompass that, this in display fingerprint sensor thing. I just hope they don't do it. I mean, Google tends to do a lot of things that I find is absolutely weird and strange at times. And this is one of those moments. This is one of those moments. And anybody that is still on that smartphone wars, and they're like writing for the company, and they're all in that rah moments and stuff like that. Like, this would give them ammunition to just go and troll the hell out of people, like really go and troll people, because they can. And there are people out there who are sensitive in their feelings, and they're going to hear this troll talk about the 5A and how Google's a complete idiot and blah, blah, blah. And people are just going to be like, oh, man. That's why I've been eyeing the Pixel 5 compared to the other phones with in-display. Yeah, the 5 is nice. As a matter of fact, right now, currently, I'm using dual SIM on my 5. I mean, if you have dual SIM capabilities, might as well use it. I mean, there's just people who have talked to me and they're like, yeah, I don't care for dual SIM. I'm not going to use it, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, oh, I'm okay with it. So I have Google Fi on my Pixel 5, and then I have my visible SIM in my Pixel 5. And yes, DS, which is dual SIM, dual standby, still yields. You can use 5G on either SIM. You can use 5G. So it's not like how it was before, where it's like you had 5G connection on a single SIM. Shut up. So annoying this morning. There. You could use back then you could use 5G, but if you had single SIM, and if you had dual SIM, it would drop to LTE. Like, it supports both now. Dual SIM would be great because I have a personal line of business. Yeah, see, I mean, that's it. That's the initial whole point of it, right? Was for you to actually have two lines connected to your phone, and you can decide which governs what. Of course, the only thing that doesn't work right now is RCS messaging. RCS messaging can't work unless you set all the parameters to be the same. So I would have to switch my data from visible to Google Fi in order for RCS to work, because since my Google Fi line is what I consider the primary line on there, and then the visible line is the secondary line, I did switch it over to where it uses visible's data. So text messaging, I just have to choose which number I'm texting from, but phone calls, Google Fi phone calls are going to come through. But what's kind of funny though with the dual SIM on there is the visual voicemail. So the visual voicemail, let me see if I can get it up. It doesn't show it this time. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, I have to put the AT&T SIM back in here because it actually read that. But anyways, earlier on this screen, it showed a split screen of that right there. And it's just basically you had SIM 1, or like, it would like have like the first SIM, like primary SIM and other SIM. And you would have your voicemails, your visual voicemails and stuff like that. That was kind of cool. But yeah, so I'm running dual SIM on my Pixel 5. And it's working out fine. Cut down, so I can carry all my phone lines with me. And then the Pixel 4 has the AT&T line, which I'm using the hotspot to stream on this morning. So, and yeah, coffee is good. Coffee is great. It's addicting. But it's not hot coffee. This one it's cold brew that I bought at Safeway. I didn't think it was gonna be that good. I bought it and it was lightly sweetened, and I was like, okay. When I tried it, I was like, yeah, it's actually pretty good. So it's coffee that's not heavy sweet. It's not. You can tell that they put a splash of sweetness in it, because you get a very light hint of the sweetness. It's not overpowering, and it's not like, you don't feel like you're sipping on a lot of sugar. So that's thumbs up on this coffee. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Stack or something like that. I don't know, but it is really good. Brought to people by my visible coffee mug. Have I tried Khalifa cold brew as well? No, I haven't tried that. I haven't tried that coffee. If they sell it here in Phoenix, I definitely would actually give it a shot. Definitely would. But anyhow, yeah, I don't know how to feel about the Pixel 5a. I really don't. Like I said, my only key points to the Pixel 5a even being somewhat of a successful launch is that it has to have a price under $400. That's the only way that people are going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll give it a shot, you know. So sub $400 price. It's going to have to ditch uh dual sensors on the back as far as cameras, or if they're going to have dual sensors, switch it up, telephoto and just, you know, normal wide angle, and kind of move away from ultra wide angle. It's not because I don't want people to have ultra wide angle, but you gotta have cuts to basically have it at a $400 price. Because if they build everything on this Pixel 5a to be exactly a mirror of the Pixel 4a 5G, then obviously the pricing is going to match the 4a 5G. And if the pricing is going to match the 4a 5G, then what's the real incentive of getting a Pixel 5a if you could probably find a 4a 5G maybe about $75 cheaper to $100 cheaper? Then the 5a would be a total flop. I'll look for the coffee if they have it in store. So when I go to the store later, I'll look out for it because I'm running low on this coffee. So when I go to the store to get another bottle, I'll look for that brand and see if I find it. So yeah, that's my take on it. So yes, I am still kind of disappointed in Google for that. I don't know. They could have just went Snapdragon 768G. They could have went with a newer processor. I don't know. I just don't know why they didn't do it. Anyways, shift tracks. This is not going to be a long live stream today. There's a lot to do. However, Mortal Kombat tomorrow. Tomorrow we got Mortal Kombat. On YouTube, you can find the opening. So they gave like a sneak peek, the first 7 minutes of the movie at the trailer, and yeah, a lot of people were watching it. I did a live stream and kind of talked about it. So, you know, I mean, hey, it was actually pretty cool. Seeing how things looked. There were a few critiques that I had about the movie, about the opening clips. There was a few things that I critiqued about it, and you know, I don't know. It just yeah, it was pretty good. The opening was pretty good, except for when Hanzo found his wife and his son Jubei, both frozen. I critiqued that, and this is just me here. So, you know, more people are just like, okay, you know, you're probably being a little bit too critical, or maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I don't know, but I look at it from this perspective, right? So I'm a dad. You know, I have my 5 kids, and if I ran back to my house and saw both, you know, my woman and my child frozen and killed, I think my reaction would have been a lot more than just a little sob. I think my reaction would have been more of just like snapping and going insane. I don't know. I just felt like that they were trying to emphasize that type of emotion, yet they didn't actually bring out that raw emotion. And so that's totally fine. But yeah, the casting for Scorpion and Sub-Zero are spot on. Yeah, I'll agree with that statement. I will agree with that statement. And you know, it's funny though, because like I pointed this out to my lady the other day. Like I showed her that trailer, right? And she was watching it. We were watching it together, and then I was like, do you think his brother will come to help him? And she's just like, what? You know, like Scorpion has a brother? Like, no. But the actor who plays Hanzo Asashi is and people didn't recognize him. He was actually in Rush Hour 3. He played Kenji in Rush Hour 3, which was supposed to be Jackie Chan's they're like they're not blood brothers, but they're like brothers when they grew up in a home together. You know, I guess after when Jackie Chan's dad in the movie, well, Inspector Lee's dad, we'll just go by his character's name. Inspector Lee's dad passed away. You know, Inspector Lee grew up in a boys' home. And so Kenji was like his brother. You know, they had each other's back throughout the whole time they lived in a boys' home, except Inspector Lee obviously became a cop like his dad. And Kenji took the life of crime. But yeah, the guy who plays Scorpion played Kenji in Rush Hour 3. Yeah, his reaction seemed off, but maybe it's well, I mean, so Japanese culture, you know, they're how I say this, because So with the Japanese culture, it's not far off for a man to show his emotions, right? Like in some cultures, like here in the U.S., like men, they don't cry. I mean, they do cry, but they will never cry in front of their woman, and they would never cry in front of like family unless it was loss of a loved one, right? Like most men bury their emotions inside. In some other cultures, it's just like you don't really bear a lot of your emotions. But with the Japanese culture, they've never really been afraid to bear their emotions, especially for something that cataclysmic in their life. You know, um, I just felt like, I mean, it could have been a totally different way. I mean, like I said, it's all perception, right? My perception is that, and like I said, again, it's subjective too, because I'm basing it off like how I would react. But necessarily, maybe, because hey, that could have been his way of snapping. Like he went so insane seeing his wife and son killed that he just went into like full Terminator mode and just started taking out all members of Lin Kuei. So I mean that could have been it, you know what I mean? And not have the reaction that you would think that he should have had or whatever, Like everyone wants to be a director of a movie, yet if we are, then how come we're not directing our own movies? It's that type of scenario. That's where I put myself in it. But still, I mean, it was still a good opening scene. I love how they gave a backstory to the kunai weapon. I think that's something that I think is pretty cool, right? Throughout entire Mortal Kombat lore, the kunai weapon that Scorpion has, which is that the spear, what they call it, a spear. It's not actually a spear, but we've seen it throughout, because I mean that's his primary weapon since Mortal Kombat 1. That's what he had was the kunai spear, and he would throw it out there and get over here, and it's a staple of Mortal Kombat. But with this movie, they decided to give that weapon a backstory. So technically showing that it actually was a gardening tool, because in the opening scene, you see his wife using it in the garden. And when he finds her and his son dead, and he takes out, I think it was like 3 members of the Lin Kuei, he takes them out with his sword, and he throws the other one and hits a, yeah. So he takes out 2 of them, and then there's one that's still in his house, and he throws his sword at him and gets him at the doorway. Then he goes to where his wife was working at and picks up that weapon, with a rope, ties it together, and then uses it to take out the rest of the Lin Kuei members, including his confrontation with Bihan. And they didn't show the fight between them there, but it came to that point. So, that's pretty interesting. And yeah, you said something here that's they didn't show what happens with the sister. And that's something that's new. This is a newly added part to it, right? So when you look at Mortal Kombat lore and you look at, let's take Mortal Kombat Legacy that was done by Machinima, right? They gave a backstory to Bihan and Hanzo, making them friends at as children, and then become feuding when Quan Chi assumed the identity of Sub-Zero and then killed the Shirai Ryu clan. What's up, Gene? Good morning to you. So let's just take that for instance, right? They never ever mentioned that Scorpion had a daughter. So this is a change in the Mortal Kombat story that is recognizable, that Scorpion had a daughter. And also, since Scorpion's son was killed with his wife, that kind of puts that rumor that Cole Young is Scorpion's son. Now that puts that to rest, because Jubei died with his mom. So therefore, you can't say that Jubei was survived and was put in a boys' home and was adopted by a family who changed his name to Cole Young. Like, no. So Cole Young is not Scorpion's son. But who is the daughter? What happens to her? Because you're right. That's one thing that we saw when the Lin Kuei started attacking the Shirai Ryu guards. The mom put the daughter in a compartment that was a hidden compartment under the floor. So she opened the floor, put the baby in there. The baby was quiet. She covered it, and then put the the table on top of it, so you wouldn't know that there was, a compartment hidden in the floorboard. And then of course Bihan came in and confronted Hanzo's wife and his son Jubei, and killed them. So it's going to be interesting to know what happens to the daughter. But there's just so much dynamics in here too. Like, one of the big questions is is that are they going to build a backstory where Kano used to work with Sonya Blade before betraying her and, you know, throwing that, you know, he was the leader of the Black Dragon Society. Is that what's going to happen? Because they changed a lot too, right? Like in Mortal Kombat 2, Jax Briggs, you know, because he fights in the Outworld tournament in Mortal Kombat 2, lost his arms to Kintaro, as Kintaro took Jax's arms in revenge for Goro's death. Here, Sub-Zero is the one that takes Jax's arms. So, I mean, there's a lot of changes. Plot twist, the baby girl grows up to be Cole Young. I mean, that'd be interesting and weird. Because I'm pretty sure Hanzo and his wife are smart enough to know that that little baby is a girl. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. We have to see what happens, and it happens tomorrow. Finally tomorrow it's going to happen. But I'm just like, there's subtle things, you know, that I've noticed that's like kind of weird, that don't make sense. And I said this in previous coverage of Mortal Kombat, like, you know, why is Cabal in this movie? Cabal should not be in this movie at all whatsoever. At least if Cabal was to be in this movie, he should not have his respiratory machine, because he didn't get that machine on him until the events of Mortal Kombat 3, where Shao Kahn came to Earth to claim Queen Sindel. He sent his death squads to raid all over the country, and they were to hunt down Raiden's chosen mortals, and they knew Cabal was going to be one of the chosen mortals, and they caught up with him, and he was nearly killed. So, yeah, seeing Cabal in this movie where Cabal fights Liu Kang was just like, okay, what's going on here? That's a MK3 character. He should not be in this if this is focused on MK1. And you know, and of course, Melina's in the movie, but we don't see anything of Kitana. So to me, that doesn't make sense. Are you going to watch it on HBO Max? I'm not going to go to theaters because, like, you know, my kids are excited for it. So it's me and my kids. My lady said she would actually watch this with me. And I don't know if you guys know this for the longest time, but she doesn't like watching hardly any of the action movies I like to watch. So she's going to sit down and watch this one with us. So yeah, we're going to watch it at home. But yeah, Melina's in the movie. That doesn't make sense to me why she's in the movie. And we have nothing of Kitana. So that's, you know, a big type of thing. What looks good is Goro. Goro looks good, right? Compared to, even if you take current Goro versus, you know, the Mortal Kombat movie Goro from the mid 90s, right? This Goro looks better. So that's actually pretty cool. Yeah, and then we get the answer to the question, why in this movie, why is Cole Young the protagonist? Why is Liu Kang's character taking a back seat to Cole Young? Because it's not to say that Liu Kang is going to always take a back seat to Cole Young. We don't even know the origins of Cole Young to begin with, other than, you know, they're giving him like an opening where he's an MMA fighter trying to make ends meet. And he has a birthmark that says, hey, you have that birthmark. That means that you've been invited, you know, since birth to Mortal Kombat. Raiden may be the sleeper character. I like what they've done with Raiden and Shang Tsung. I don't know if you get this from the trailers just by looking at it. And I know it's weird for me to say this because I'm like, wait, there was only like 2 seconds of that scene. But in the trailer, it just gives off this vibe that, you know, like how the tournament's supposed to be, right? Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn's forces got to win 10 straight victories in order to keep the portals open so they can invade and merge the realms of Earth and Outworld together. And Raiden is the defender of Earth realm, so he has to choose mortals to fight in this tournament. And that scene where Shang Tsung and Raiden kind of meet face to face, kind of like they're preparing for this tournament. And, you know, they're going to have, a little quib between each other, you know, just kind of boasting the tournament, shit talking, you know, who's going to win. And Raiden kind of really feels like he is in that role. Like, you know, he will help the Earth Realm Warriors, his champions that he's chosen to represent Earth in Mortal Kombat. but he's not going to overstep his boundaries and do that father figure type role. I feel like that Raiden's more of just like gives you the answers type of thing, but will kind of stand back and just let things be as they need to be, understanding that anything's possible within the Mortal Kombat tournament, and that, of course, you are sacrificing your life to defend Earth, and not so much of like the Raiden we got in previous movies, where Raiden kind of like gets them hip to the fact that they're in this ancient tournament and representing the lives of everyone on Earth in this tournament, but then kind of acts like a father figure. You know what I mean? Like he was like, it almost felt like a father figure to Liu Kang and to Johnny Cage and to Sonya Blade. It's just so weird how they did it in the mid '90s versions. This one, Raiden just seems a little bit of cold off. Just kind of a little shut off. The wide shot with Raiden and Scorpion in the dark room. Oh. Well, no, that wasn't Scorpion in the dark room. That was Shang Tsung. Let me see if I can find a photo of that shot. They should have it somewhere in images here. Let me see. Da, 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 da. And then Melina's a little bit weird. Like I said, Melina's in there, and I don't know why she's in there, but Kitana's not in there. And we have Cabal. We don't have Johnny Cage, so that's going to be like, yeah. Oh, you would think that they would have some of it. I mean, they have photos of like the game, but I guess this would be the closest to that scene. I'll just zoom on it from like right. Where'd it go? Where the heck did it go? Jeez, I hate when that happens. Oh. Where is it? I hate Google search images when that happens, and I'm not trying to activate the assistant, but oh, there it is. But yeah, in that dark room, it's actually Raiden and Shang Tsung. Hey, what's up, Maverick? What's going on? I am in Ninja Turtles. So, Maverick, saying that you are a Ninja Turtles a fan, are you excited for the new beat 'em up game coming? The Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, because I am going to buy that game when it comes out on the Switch. Developed by the same development team that did Streets of Rage 4, so that's even a big bonus, because Dotemu did an excellent job with Streets of Rage 4, so I can only imagine like how badass Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is going to be. Yep. Totally waiting for that. I'm totally waiting for tomorrow. Tomorrow's just going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome tomorrow. And yes, then after I watch the movie, maybe a late Friday night stream, I am actually going to talk about the movie. So there will be spoilers. So if anyone's not watching it tomorrow, then if you guys get notifications of my live stream tomorrow night, then I'm going to be talking about Mortal Kombat. Don't watch, because it's going to have spoilers. Same thing I did with Godzilla versus Kong. As soon as I was done watching the movie, I went live and talked about it, and it had some spoilers. And I don't like spoiling movies for other people. I really don't. But yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to call it that at this point right now. I got a lot of things I got to get done. So I do want to thank everyone that came in here and hung out with me for a little bit. If you missed the first half of the live stream, basically talking about the Pixel 5a using the Snapdragon 765G, my disappointment with Google, and what I think they would have to do to even make the 5a a selling point. Catch a replay on that. Also, let me know if you're watching the replay. If you're a replay crew member, #replay crew, let me know your guys' thoughts on either of the subjects, and let me know if you guys are watching Mortal Kombat. and what you're thinking. Who do you think Cole Young is? Like, excuse me. How significant is he to Mortal Kombat? You guys let me know. You love the games? I love the games too, man. Actually, yeah. I still have like my Nintendo Switch, like my original Nintendo Switch is still modded. And so I have an external hard drive that has a bunch of NES and Super NES games on it. And I tend to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade. And yeah, I still have fun playing that. Anyways, everyone else, thanks for checking out the live stream. I appreciate that, you guys being here and whatnot. And check the links in the description. I have a Reddit community that I created 2 days ago. So if you guys are on Reddit, you guys want to follow on there, share some stuff or whatever, have conversations and whatnot. And when Reddit Talk opens, that'll be a thing. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Appreciate y'all for being here. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, Junior. See you guys tomorrow with Friday's live stream. Till then, peace.